you are on the face of this very planet, on this very day, the 10th day of May in the year of Elohim 2020. For some people, a Mothering Sunday. I welcome all our mothers, those who are celebrating, those who have remembered. On this very day, we shall say a special prayer for our mothers when the time is appropriate. But for now, I must first of all welcome each and every one of you, regardless of where you are domiciled, regardless of your circumstance, insofar as you have found the time to participate in this wonderful gospel this evening, this very day that Chukwokika Biama has determined that the zoo must fall. Then I welcome you by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you. Because unlike any other, this very broadcast is listened to across the length and the breadth of this very planet Earth. And as I welcome you, I will, of course, encourage you to welcome those who are around you. We are live and we are direct, and Elohim is bearing us witness as we do so. Our mission is a very simple one: to restore the kingdom of heaven upon the face of this very earth. And that is precisely what we are going to do by sticking rigorously and uncompromisingly to the truth, by making sure that we remain whiter than white and whiter than snow, by ensuring that we shall always be without fear before our enemies, that we will help those who are unable to help themselves, and of course, be of courage and good conduct, that Elohim in heaven may love us. That is what we have come to do, and that is what we must accomplish. My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, and by the very special grace of Elohim, Chukwokika Biama Prumi Henine, a servant of the wonderful people of Biafra, I will dispense with protocol and proceed, of course, to our prayers this very evening, because we must pray that the zoo has collapsed is as a result of the grace of Elohim upon our lives. As Chukwokika Biama promised us, and as was revealed to me in the year 2014, I was told that Buhari is the key to freedom. And I preached it on this very platform. And I said that this very dictator, this brutal, evil, wicked mass murderer is our passport to freedom. And today it has happened. The zoo has collapsed. It has collapsed completely and totally. There is nothing holding it. This evening I shall prove it to you. This evening that the whole world is listening, I will prove it beyond every reasonable doubt that Biafra is only a matter of months away if we do that which is right before God in heaven and the conscience of men on this very earth. We must pray. We must call upon the Most High Elohim, who has, despite all the difficulties, all the challenges and tribulations, have brought us to where we are today. And we are just saying thank you. But before we do so, we must call upon Elohim, because rather than diminishing, our enemies will continue to increase, because that is how it is with the children of light. For no reason they will despise us, for no reason they will hate us. When the Jews were being killed all over Europe for decades, or should I say for centuries, when they were being persecuted all around the world for no other reason, for the blessing of God upon the life of Israel, upon the life of Jews all over the world. It wasn't because they fell foul of any mortal law. It wasn't because they did anything wrong. It was because of their ingenuity, their industry, their love of God and God's blessing upon them. That is why they were despised and hated. The same thing is happening to Biafrans all over the world. Wherever we are, they will come after us. Whatever we'll do, they will find a fault with it. That is why we must remain resolutely and indefatigably glued to the word of Elohim, to the words of Chukwokika Biam and the promise he gave to our ancestors. That same promise we are writing on today, to declare that Biafra is only months away. I'm not saying years away. I said months away because the zoo has crumbled. The zoo has collapsed. All their intrigue, all their lies, all their deception have been unraveled and the whole world is aware of it. That is why the zoo has collapsed. For the grace of Elohim, not anything that we have done. Man cannot take the glory that belongs to God. That is why we will praise him. That is why we shall adore him. Chineke na nke pụrụ m ihe niile, aga m ekpere gị ekpere n'asụsụ eluigwe, n'ihi na ọ bụ asụsụ a ka ndị mmụọ ozi bụ ndị gbara ocheeze gị okirikiri na-asụ n'iru gị. Ha na-asị na ịdị nsọ Chineke, ha sị na ịdị nsọ Chineke, ha sị na ịdị nsọ Jehova nke usu niile nke ndị agha. Ha sị na onweghị onye eji atụnyere gị nna nke ebere dị ngọzi. Ha sị na ọrụ aka gị dị mma, na ihe niile ị mere dị mma Chineke nna nke igwe. Onye ebube dị ngọzi, onye dị nsọ, onye ndị Igbo ọ na-etu ebighị ebi, n'ihi na site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ebi ka ịdị. Ị dịghị anwụ anwụ, ebeghị mmadụ dị ndụ. Onye chọrọ nghọta nsọ nke gị nna nke ebere ga-abanye n'ime mmụọ. Anyị wee na-arịọ gị eze ebube dị ngọzi ka ị were IPOB wee tinye IPOB n'ime mmụọ nna nke ebere dị ngọzi. N'ihi na ihe anyị na-emebu ihe mmụọ. Nnu anyị na-achụrụ aja bụ nnukwu mmụọ ka mmụọ niile, bụ Chineke nna nke Abraham, nke Isaac na nke Jacob, bụ Chineke nna nke Eri, Chineke nna nke hiwere ala Igbo, Chineke nna nke hiwere ibibie ma hiwefe ike eze ebube dị ngọzi. Onye kere Ishekiri, onye si n'Urobo ga-adịrịrị, Chineke nna nke ndị Ijọ, Chineke nna nke Mbigede, Chineke nna nke Igala. Anyị na-aja gị mma wee na-erubere gị isi. Onye ọ bụ naanị ya na-achị nwanne otu onye pụrụ anyị n'ihu ma pụrụ anyị n'azụ eze ebube dị ngọzi. Ma lee nụ ka ndị iro si wee mụbaa. Ndị Yoruba wee si na ọ bụ ha na ndị Fulani ga-arụkọ ọrụ wee jide ụmụ gị wee na-ala ha n'iyi. Onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke bi n'igwe, ọ bụ naanị gị bụ onye na-alụrụ anyị ọgụ, naanị gị bụ onye na-abụrụ anyị ọgbọ. Anyị emeghị onye ọzọ ewezuga gị nna nke igwe dị ngọzi. Bikonu ndị dị etu a wee na-asị na Biafra agaghị abịa, anyị wee sị ha na ha abụghị Chineke nna nke bi n'igwe, na anyị kwụwa aka anyị ọtọ wee gbaso ụkpụrụ iwu gị nna nke ebere ka isi wee nye ya. Anyị wee rubere ya isi n'okwu nsọ nke eze ebube dị ngọzi, na Biafra ga-abịa anyị na ndụ na-abụghị n'ọnwụ. Eze ebube dị ngọzi, bikonu bịa ka iwe gbaa ụmụ gị okirikiri, n'ihi na ọ bụ gị bụ nche nke igwe nke onye agha, bụ nke na-echebe ndị gị. Ọ bụ gị onweghị bụ onye tụrụ anyị ugo eze ebube dị ngọzi, wee bulie isi anyị elu. Anyị wee na-aba mba wee na-anya isi. Anyị anaghị eme ihe n'ike ka anyị nna nke ebere dị ngọzi, n'ihi na ọ bụ adọba ahụ ka anyị bụ eze ebube n'ime eluigwe. Ọ bụ site na amara gị n'ime ndụ anyị Chineke nna nke igwe. Anyị wee na-ebesara ya akwa n'ụwa niile na anụ olu anyị eze ebube dị ngọzi. Anyị na-enweta nnukwu aṅụrị n'ime aha nsọ gị bụ nke na-edu anyị mgbe niile. Anyị wee na-asị gị eze ebube dị ngọzi na ọ bụ n'ugwu nsọ nke eke nọ wee nụrụ anyị ekpere. Anyị wee na-akpagharị ebe niile dị iche iche wee na-edu anyị n'ụzọ ije, agbanyeghị na ndị iro gbara anyị okirikiri ebe niile. Imirikiti ka ha bụ ndị gbara anyị okirikiri wee na-ebuso anyị agha. Egwu adịghị atụ anyị ma ọlị. Anyị wee na-arịọ gị eze ebube dị ngọzi ka iwe kunie ka ndị iro gị wee gbasasị ebe niile dị iche iche, ka iwe tituo asọrọ ọka eze ebube dị ngọzi, ka iwe zọpụta ụmụ gị n'aka ajọ ihe, n'ihi na ịkụwa ndị iro aka na-agba, eze wee dapụ ha n'ọnụ. Na ndị dị etu amaghị Chineke nna, ịghasa wee soro ọkụ wee jide obodo ekwensu bụ zoo obodo anụmanụ wee ghasa ya wee laa ya n'iyi n'ihi na ha amaghị okwu nsọ nke gị ha amaghị na ịbụ Chineke nna pụrụ ime ihe niile anyị wee na-arịọ gị na-asị gị bikonu ebe ike pụrụ ndị eze n'ọnụ biko bịa ka iwe mere ụmụ gị ebere n'ihi na ọ bụ na ọ gbadara aka ka nzọpụta nọ ka ngọzi iwe nọ n'etiti ụmụ gị bụ IPOB n'ụwa niile ụmụ gị bụ ndị Biafra ebe niile ha nọ n'elu ụwa nna nke igwe ka iwe chebe ndị gị wee wezugara anyị ọnwụ mberede wee wezugara anyị oke nnukwu nrịarịa nke na-akpagharị ebe niile wee were amara gị na ụmụ ike akarị nke ezi omume gị wee leta ndị gị ka ọ ga-abụ n'oge na-adịghị anya onye nwe m na Chineke na ọṅụ ga-ejupụta anyị obi anyị ga-abụ abụ ọma wee gọzie aha nsọ gị anyị ga-ebuli gị elu eluigwe n'ụwa ga-agba akaebe n'ezie na ụmụ Biafra bụ ụmụ Chineke anyị ga-aja gị mamata oyi n'ime ala nsọ bụ Biafra eze bere ngọzi ka iwe na-eto niile ya nsọpụrụ niile na ịja mma niile site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ebi ise I was in the spirit. I felt like preaching, but I will preach tonight because the zoo has fallen. The zoo has collapsed completely and precipitously. I rejoice in the Lord, for I have seen the fall of the enemy. Fire Rock has collapsed. They cannot glue it back together again. It is not the making of man, it is the making of Elohim in heaven. Therefore, we must give him praise now and always. If you have joined this very broadcast, you are blessed. If you are part of this very unique gospel that we preach this very evening, you are a very lucky soul because you are witnessing history. History is truth. You are witnessing the collapse, the absolute collapse, complete collapse of the zoological republic. That is what you're witnessing. That is what you are witnessing, absolutely and totally, without any equivocation. The enemies will come and they will fall. They cannot succeed, not now, not tomorrow, not ever. If you have not brought your pen and paper, and as I would say, a very tiny dose of common sense, I do not understand how you are going to participate in this very program or be able to understand it this evening. The whole world is listening rapturously and attentively for this very gospel, and we shall endeavor to the best of our ability and by the grace of heaven to do justice to that which we have been sent to do. I will start this very evening by playing for you the very prophecy that has led us to where we are today. A prophecy ignored when this prophecy was prophesied. The forces of darkness rebelled against it. They called us all manner of names. They tried all they can and all they could within their powers to demoralize us. They tried to ridicule this very heavenly project. They tried to say that we were not sent by Elohim. They said that Biafra will not come in their time. But behold, Elohim said that I will crumble the zoo. He said we should go forth and preach this gospel without fear, that the zoo will fall. I went to Aba for 30th of May in 2015, and during that very rally in Aba, I proclaimed under the supervision and spiritual guidance of heaven that the zoo must fall. And today, the zoo has fallen. And this was the very prophecy that started it. a prophecy that was made when I was in prison. That same prophecy I'm going to play for the whole world to hear today, to bear witness to what we have to preach this evening. Witness, that you may know that we are led in spirit by instructions from heaven. That you may know. Listen very, very carefully. He's not an Igbo man. He is not. One of the very few genuine men of God, if there's anything like that. Listen to what he had to say. And I want you to situate this very prediction into the happenings of today. That if you had any doubts before that Chukwukika Biama and the God we worship is with us, this evening you will be doubly convinced. Listen very carefully, please. Listen very, very carefully. I am trying to get this thing to work. I am trying to get it to work. That everybody may know that we have defeated Satan. That Satan has fallen. That Satan has crumbled this very day. Listen very, very carefully, please. I beg of you. Listen attentively and very, very quiet, please. It is very, very important that you follow this. I want it to be followed from the beginning, from the very beginning.
iPhone and iPad.
Now we are trying to, this whole thing, iPhone. Only heaven knows why it is behaving this way. I do not know what is happening to me, but I will try to play it direct from here.
You fight an ideology.
Listen.
Ideology is like a spirit. You can fight an ideology. You can't use gun and bullet to stop an ideology.
Are you listening?
With an ideology, you engage it with wisdom. The only bullet that can kill an ideology is the bullet of knowledge. Wisdom. Wisdom. The only way to deal with the ideology is to go back to the founder of the ideology and reprogram the ideology and stand at the central processing unit of the ideology. Make sure it is rightfully corrected. And if you remove the leader, have you removed the ideology? There are more crazy Nnamdi Kanu that will come up after Nnamdi. They are just hiding under him. The only way to kill this is not by gun and bullet. It's by engaging with proper dialogue, with knowledge and wisdom.
This was years ago.
This cry we are hearing here is not a cry of children, it's a cry of adults.
Listen.
The only way, I am not an advocate that Nigeria should separate, God forbid. No. But I'm saying the best way to handle this, listen to the cry of the children. Sit down. Everything is not gun and bullet. When you take the leader away, okay, take the leader away. The next, how many people are on the street? Do you know how many spirits of Biafra have entered people? Do you know how many?
Amaka, post this.
Millions are carrying the spirit of Biafra.
The spirit is everywhere.
So if you kill the leader or you take the leader away,
from
you
heaven.
take the spirit from everybody. Ojukwu is not here, but Biafra is alive. It's an ideology. The man who started it has left. Before he left, he kept quiet and lived peacefully and left. But the generation that have come have picked it up. And it's even worse than his own now.
Are you listening?
And they're engaging it with an idea, with knowledge.
With knowledge. We have come with knowledge.
The best way to deal with this is not gun and bullet. It's not gun and bullet. When the revolution want to start, the revolutionists, the first thing they will do, they will pass the idea and impregnate their followers. The only way to stop it is to stop them before they impregnate the followers.
Are you listening?
When the followers are impregnated, that's all. All of them are carrying pregnancy. They will soon deliver to other children. If you have 2 million Biafra, you already have 4 million Biafra. Because they're selling their ideology. And now, I don't have a problem. Well, my own concern is that you don't take woman's life. The best way to do that, you engage them in the ideology. If you feel the ideology is not correct, you dialogue. You sit down with them. If dignifying them will make them feel important, they do that.
Are you listening? He was preaching this in a church before his congregation. Listen.
Are we killing people and we're getting excited? No. Boko Haram is a terrorist group. Have you stopped them from killing? Are they not still killing? They're still killing. Did it start as a peaceful group? Yes.
Are you listening to what he said? Boko Haram started as a peaceful group, peaceful movement. The reason why Boko Haram is violent today is because of Nigerian politicians and those that serve in their armed forces. Listen very carefully. That is the truth. We must continue. This very prophecy of this man, I want you to understand it before we go into the mop-up of the zoo. The zoo has fallen. Before we mop it up this evening.
Were the ideology crazy? Yes. How do you engage it? Engage the leaders. And you see, some of these things are very spiritual.
Are you following it?
They are very spiritual.
This is a Yoruba man. Spiritual.
Very spiritual. See, something that can die within 15 days. It can stay there for 15 years.
Are you listening?
Because the way leaders are handling it.
It is spiritual.
The issue of Biafra is so simple.
We have more in the spirit.
Is this what you want? Then comfort. Okay, let's do a referendum. Let's see how popular this thing is.
Referendum.
Restructure Nigeria.
Restructure, no. Referendum, no. Today the zoo has fallen.
Make them feel important.
As this man said it would.
How did the unrest in Niger Delta died? You know what did? Dialogue. That's the best way. This thing,
everything gone. Shoot. Let's crush them. Let's crush. Let's shoot. Nowhere.
The world is too civilized. Look at America. Look at the way they abuse Trump and they say everything. The guy with those bands and tweet again. He tweet and continue his life.
They abuse Trump every day. All Trump does is to tweet. In the zoo, they are jailing a 72-year-old man, 72, that he insulted a dead man, Buhari, who is dead and buried in a shallow grave in Saudi Arabia. The most powerful man in the world is Donald Trump. The seat of the US president is the most powerful throne on this very earth. You can insult him however you like. Yesterday, the governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, was insulting Trump. Before that, the governor of California. Before that, the mayor of New York. And they're all free, serving in their offices. If it is in a backward, diseased zoo like Nigeria, they'll say, bring him, let's jail him, let's put him in jail, let's lock him up. And all of you are clapping. When evil is happening, you're clapping. You don't know that that evil is coming straight at you. Let us listen to a genuine man of God.
It's what we call civilization.
Civilization.
That is what we call. You can abuse me to hell, say whatever you want to say. It doesn't stop it. I am the president and I am the commander in charge of wherever you are. You abuse, but I'm still your president. These things are just simple maturity.
Maturity.
To fill a political office is not maturity. It's an appointment.
Are you listening?
Want it? I started talking about Biafra before this happened.
Are you listening? He's a Yoruba man.
Let's kill this thing.
This is a Yoruba man.
Dialogue.
Dialogue.
Even we as fathers, our children will just do some things and we see it better.
They were begging the zoo to dialogue and they said no. Are you listening?
And let them talk. And when they talk, what do? We trust and advise them. Sitting down at the table and talking, even to take us to discuss for 1 month, for life not to be lost, is more important than losing lives. If we have to engage Nnamdi Kanu and all the Biafra discussing, young man, what do you want? We keep, let's do naivety in discussing than losing millions of souls. Discussion, dialogue will never kill anybody.
Are you listening?
Bullets will kill.
Yes.
Give Jesus a clap of hands.
Now you understand a genuine man of God preaching. I wanted to give you a background. Now understand where the zoo is from when this very man spoke. I said that Elohim would destroy the zoo, and the zoo has fallen. We have trapped them inside us rock. As I'm speaking, be writing it down on a piece of paper so you can do your research later on. Right now, they are like caged animals within a zoo in Asorok. They are caged completely. What they have done with Osibajo, I have no idea. It is for the Yorubas to rise up and ask for their son. The same way Biafrans rose and asked for me when I was kidnapped, when I was abducted by the forces of the zoo. I don't know what is wrong with some people. When you say, go and find Osibajo, they take offense. I don't know why. But this evening, we will tell you what Osibajo's disappearance portends for the collapse of the zoo. Because we have trapped them in Asorok. And as I go, I will mention the time so you understand it. The time now is precisely 7:30 p.m. in the land of Biafra. 7:30 p.m. in the evening in the land of Biafra. If you check your time now, it's exactly the same number of minutes. Every clock in the world right now, it is at 7:30. That's how you know we are live and we are direct. And that mankind is listening. Humanity is paying us homage today. We have trapped them inside Asorok, the diseased remnant few of the cabal. They are trapped inside Asorok, holding Osibajo hostage, live hostage. If he survived the COVID-19 attack, I have no idea, but they infected him. If he's alive, I do not know. But what I'm telling you this evening is pure gospel, that Nigeria has collapsed because there is no government. None whatsoever. What we have are janjaweed with AK-47 all over the place. In military uniform, army, police, customs, what they called again, civil defense. There is no more Nigeria. Nigeria is gone. Piece by piece this evening, we decimate the zoo. Complete this. Anytime I ask for Osibajo, what are they going to tell you? The same response. The same thing they did when Buhari died. The same thing they did anytime they go missing. The same line. Photoshop after Photoshop. Edited video after edited video. Then the same line of explanation. Where is he? They always tell you that in accordance with the guidelines of NCDC, he has been observing social distancing, thereby limiting physical engagements. He has been working from his office, using teleconferencing to continue his official duties. He is working as the chairman of the Economic and Sustainability Committee, a committee so that every time you ask them, where is Osibajo, this is the answer you get. In the middle of a pandemic, now you have a listen, just common sense, only simple, tiny common. Listen very carefully. The elected vice president of the country is heading a subgroup, Economic and Sustainability Committee, whereas somebody who is an ordinary government appointee, a political appointee with no constitutionally recognized shelf life, he has no tenure, no life, can be sacked tomorrow morning, is the one leading the government's response in the midst of the worst crisis that can ever affect any country apart from war. This is even worse, because in war you see your enemies. Here you don't see anybody. I want you to reason very carefully. The person you claim you voted for as your vice president, who should be deputizing in the absence of the president, which is quite obvious, isn't it, is now heading A subcommittee, listen carefully, that reports to a man who was appointed only a few months ago. Now you understand it? Do you see that the zoo has fallen? That there is no president, no vice president, not even ordinary chief of staff. They have none. They cannot replace Abba Kyari because there are 3 camps in Asarok. Aisha Buhari's camp, this camp that are loyal to Mama and Daura, and the camp, the remnants of those, the cabal that Abba Kyari built. They know they are in trouble. That is why they are all fleeing. That is why they are all running, all of them. Asarok is empty. And this evening, I can tell you categorically that the person running Nigeria as at this moment, if you know anybody that has access to Asarok, you ask them. The person running Nigeria right now and dishing out contracts is Aisha Buhari. This very night, this very minute. Because there is no president. Buhari is dead in Saudi Arabia in a grave. Osibajo is out of the picture. Completely taken out of the picture. There is nobody you voted for to run Nigeria that is there. Absolutely none. There is nobody there. It is the illegitimate first lady. Illegitimate because her tenure ends when her husband died. That was the end of Aisha Buhari's tenure as first lady. Mrs. Osibajo should be the first lady. Osibajo should be the president of Nigeria. But due to a combination of fear and cowardice, treachery, some people are not able to rise up and demand to see what the Constitution say must happen. Listen very carefully. The person who is in charge of Nigeria as at this moment, this very second, with the time now at, what is the time? Approximately 24 minutes to 8 is Aisha Buhari. Aisha Buhari is the Nigerian president now. That is why they have not appointed any replacement chief of staff. Are you following? Why should it take so long? That's why I asked you to bring your pen and your paper. Write it down. Common sense. When you go back, you reflect and you ponder. You reflect and you ponder. You understand what they're doing with you. You will understand the game and the tricks they're playing with you and why you have allowed them to get away with it for a very long time. It is your fault. You that call yourselves Nigerians, it is your fault that you're in a mess. It is your fault that you're getting Alamajiri distributed all over the place. It is your fault. Your fault. That a woman who shouldn't be in Asorok is there now as your president. Aisha Buhari. She is the one now in charge. You are in a country where people cannot muster the courage to say, I want to see the vice president that I voted for. I want to see and hear the president address me live. But with the advent of new technology, just having somebody making a live broadcast is no longer enough. Because this evening, I'm going to show you and tell you all the tricks they play. We need the truth. We need people to come out and to confess their sins before they start going to prison in handcuffs, one after the other. I know the Fulani won't arrest their own. Of course, we know that very well. We know they won't. But they are going to jail. What Aisha Buhari is doing now is a worse treason than her husband. What Buhari did in 1983 by overthrowing Shagari. This is high crimes and misdemeanor. What Aisha is doing is a hanging offense. In any civilized country, it's a hanging offense. Nobody voted for her. Before her, nobody voted for Abba Kyari. Nobody did. But due to your cowardice and your docility, your gossipy nature, your gossipy, almost comical existence. That was why none of these things were taken seriously. And today you're suffering the consequences. You are the laughing stock of the world. Now, do you understand why all the foreign countries, and of course companies, took away all their nationals? That time that plane was coming and taking people away, we kept wondering, but why are they taking people? What have they seen that we have not seen? Now, have you seen what they have seen? They knew everything. As soon as the cabal decided to render Osinbajo impotent, you know what they did? Countries started airlifting their people out of the zoo because they know there is going to be a breakdown of law and order. There is going to be chaos in Nigeria. They know there is no government. That was why they airlifted their people out. Go and ask anywhere in the world if people airlifted 90% of the diplomats out of the territories they're in. The answer is no. Now, are you following? Now, are you following? My question this evening is this. Why is it that you have Yoruba constitutional lawyers, people that say they are sophisticated, people that say they went to school? They fail to understand one thing, that a law on a piece of paper, a constitution is only words written on a piece of paper. For it to have any relevance or any bite, so to speak, it must be enforceable. What you're saying in effect is that the Nigerian constitution does not recognize Osinbajo as the vice president of Nigeria. That is why Boss Mustafa, who is a political appointee, is the one running the government's response to COVID-19. Whereas the person you elected to do that very job, Osinbajo, they are holding him hostage. Now you understand why the zoo has fallen. Not that the zoo will fall. It has already fallen. There is no... Now imagine what is going to happen when all these things comes out in the open. Have you asked yourselves the chaos that is going to ensue when all these things are laid bare in the open? Have you ever for one moment sat down to consider the calamitous consequences of what Aisha Buhari is doing and the rest of the North? Have you asked yourself that? No, you have not. Now you know why countries and governments of the world evacuated their people. You must know why they evacuated their people. Now you understand it, don't you? Now you understand it, don't you? I have to take a sip of water because this is a live presentation, not like the zoo, Photoshop, video shop. Everything is fake. Tonight, we render them asunder. Tonight, I'm proving to you that Nigeria no longer exists. What you're doing, you're just merely existing in a British-defined geopolitical space. As a country, Nigeria have ceased to exist. That's what I'm trying to prove to you tonight. The person, can you imagine the irony? The person you voted for to do a particular job has been kidnapped. If you ask them, they show you a video. The world has advanced. People can do anything with, as I'll demonstrate to you tonight, people can do whatever they like with videos these days and pictures. It's irrelevant. People want to see, feel, and touch Osinbajo because you people are liars. That was why you brought in the Chinese, as I knew. That's why they came. Not just to test vaccine on us. Not just because of all the assets they are stripping and taking back to China. You brought them in to bring the new generation of deep fake videos and photoshopping techniques. But as I said, we have everything. We have everything. So you're wasting your time. The sooner you come clean, the better. The sooner Aisha Buhari comes out to hand herself over to whoever that will put chains on her wrists, handcuffs, the better for them. They are all, you see what coronavirus is doing? They are all going to fall. they better go and start committing suicide. Because no matter how stupid and how hopeless zoo people are, those use tissue paper, Nigerians, they will not forgive them for this. They will never, ever forgive them for this. They have now gotten into a lot of trouble, haven't they? There is something I don't quite understand about my Yoruba brothers. I don't understand this thing about my Yoruba brothers. I don't understand it. Is it that you hate your own son? Or you are afraid of asking the Fulani to produce your son for you? I'm just asking because, you know, I don't know where the brain of Nigeria, I can't, where are your thinking faculties? Where are they? Nigerians, where are your thinking faculties? I'm asking you. I know that Biafrans can reason. I know that very well. I am asking Nigerians, where are your thinking faculties? Can you reason at all? Now, listen. This is a very important news being carried by Tinubu's newspaper, The Nation. In a country that practices democracy, where they claim the president is alive, where they claim the vice is alive, of course we know that contrary is the case. Look at the headline, Aso Villa, and they are saying it with pride. These are people that claim they are educated. These are people that claim they are enlightened. These are people that claim sophistication. These are people that claim to be, these are people that claim that the elite. I want to read the headline for you. I don't even know if people actually read these things and digest. I don't know if people just read and do they actually assimilate and digest what they're reading. Aso Villa is the headline. A new force tries to dismantle the cabal. A new force is now positioning themselves inside Aso Rock to take over from the cabal of Abakari. Can you, whereas you have a vice president? Hey, man. Hey, democracy in Nigeria, unbelievable, can you? I want to read it for you. They said a fresh power play is covertly in place in the presidential villa, with a new force trying to dismantle the hitherto powerful cell, otherwise called the cabal. Since the illness and eventual death of the late Chief of Staff, Malam Abba Kyari, it has been difficult for some members of the cabal. Are you people following? Are you listening? The Chief of Staff died, so they led us to believe, Abba Kyari. And upon his death, there is a new power tussle inside Aso Rock. Not that the president died, no. They claim he's alive somewhere. Ordinary Chief of Staff died, and they say there is a power tussle, that the cabal has been weakened. Can you believe such garbage coming from a national newspaper? People read these things, they, hey, God in heaven. Hey, I want to read for you, please, so people can understand the man. I want to let you know that from the news coming from your own Nigeria, I want to use the same news to prove to you that you have no government. I want to use the same news to prove to you that your country doesn't exist. You only exist on paper, maybe on tissue paper, or a used one for that matter. I don't know. Besides I'm reading from Nation newspaper. Besides the redeployment of the permanent secretary of the State House, Mr. Jalal Arabi, the access accreditation tag of the prominent member and name withheld was withdrawn to enable the power broker apply as a visitor. All these things are happening. Hey, come here. All these things. Imagine now, for instance, the chief of staff to Trump dies, and you hear maybe Washington Post or Wall Street Journal say there is a new power tussle inside the White House. That inside that because of that power tussle going on, that somebody who was a very close ally of Donald Trump will now have to go and apply as a visitor to come to White House, because Listen to this. Because Donald Trump's chief of staff is now dead. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to anybody? Does that make sense to anybody? I'm asking you. Those who can reason, what is happening in, does that make sense to an ordinary average person? That is Nigeria for you. They said that, listen, oh, this is Tinubu's paper. A new force is emerging, and everyone is being careful to avoid belonging to a wrong camp. As I told you, there is a power tussle. That is why they have not appointed a new chief of staff. Did I not tell you that? Have you seen it? Justified, proven that we are always right. Always right. What they are saying is that Aisha Buhari is on a revenge mission. She was kicked out of her quarters, humiliated the daughter of Abba Kyari, locked Aisha Buhari's room, and said she wouldn't go in. Now is revenge. All those people that worked with Abba Kyari, now Aisha is denying them access to the villa, to Asorok. Are you following? This is a country that elected a president and a vice. And in all this nonsense, you're asking yourself, which of the cabal belongs to the vice president? At least he's the deputy, isn't it? None. Where is he? Let's forget that. Where is the vice president? You can't find him. But where is he? Oh no, he is heading Economic Reconstruction Committee. Do you see what they're doing to your brain? And what? Oh my goodness. I don't know. I can't understand these people. I don't understand. Are you following? They are now camps. This one wants their own person to be the de facto president. Because of that, Aisha Buhari is now in charge. And there is nobody, I repeat, there is nobody in charge of the zoo. The zoo has collapsed. The zoo is gone. Are you following? Are all of you following what is happening in the damnable zoological republic? If there is a vice president, shouldn't he automatically inherit the presidency? Even if you claim, albeit falsely, that Buhari is there but he can no longer perform, is it not the job of the vice president to assume leadership in the absence or incapacitation of the president as constitutionally mandated? Why all this cabal business? Why do you have cabal when you have the VP? Why cabal when you have the president? And I keep asking, all those that know the old Buhari, if you at all you knew him, do you think he's a man that will sit around and cabals will be running all over the place, running his administration? The answer is no. He will not allow that to happen. People that know him should vote. The reason why I don't hate anybody, I don't hate any group, I am not an ethnic bigot, but what I'm saying is, why is it that our learned people, the senior advocates from Yoruba land, why are they quiet? That's what I'm asking. Because I know that if had Fawemi or Fela been alive, this nonsense won't be happening. They will grant international press conference and they will spill everything out. That's what I'm asking. So Nigerians are now living in a climate of hypocrisy and deceit. Not just from Asorok, but from those you expect to know better. If you have a president and a vice, why do you have cabals running all over the place according to a national newspaper? Tinubu's paper. Why? And people say it as if it is just fun. Hey, our cabal went today, they didn't let us in. Their own cabal is stronger today. Madame is the one in charge now. Their own cabal is strong. Can you imagine such rubbish? And you're wasting. No wonder there is no coordination in anything. No wonder there are lies everywhere. No wonder nobody can be paid. No wonder you have bandits and terrorists all over the place. No wonder everything is disjointed. Because there is no cohesion. There is no leadership. There is no direction. There is no purpose. Or even sense of purpose. All are missing. Why? because they lied to themselves. They deceived all of you. They used fake videos and fake photos to be deceiving you since 2017. And people are thinking to themselves, my Yoruba brothers are thinking, oh, maybe because you're looking for Biafra. If you are looking for Nigeria, we would have supported you. What you're saying is the truth, but we can't support you because you want to break Nigeria. If you break Nigeria now, we will be left alone with only the Fulani, and one day they will just come and pick us up one after the other. That's their fear. But I'm saying we are here. We can't allow Fulani to invade Yoruba land. It's not going to happen. But you must stand on the side of the truth. Always. That's what we are saying. We used to have our own portion of the Fulefus. You have them in Biafra land all over the place. But we have not allowed them to come up because they are evil and we know them. That is a position that our brethren in the West must aspire to. I want all of us to be free. I want everybody to be free. Middle Belt, the West, the East. There's everywhere to be free. Then people can decide what they wish to do with their lives. What is happening now in the zoo is a travesty. It is a shame, it is a disgrace. You have no government. Absolutely none. Every day they bring out an ordinary secretary to the government. Not even the Senate president. Not even the House Speaker. And all of you are quiet. You're keeping very quiet, as if everything is normal. But of course it's not. And you are the laughing stock. Aisha is now firmly in charge. But I know that some shameless, sycophantic women will go there, even as they knelt down before Tinubu asking for governorship of Enugu State and asking to be made the vice president of the zoo. I'm sure some of them will even run shamelessly to go and kneel before Aisha and be begging for contract. Usually when they go with the CVs of their children to say, oh, can you make my son or my daughter something or give them an appointment somewhere. As I said, from their mistakes we shall judge them. From their mistakes, we shall judge them. And that's what we are doing. I asked many weeks ago, I asked and I kept asking, as I also posted this a little earlier before we came live on air. I asked, I posted, and I said, where is Osibajo? We started this very quest to find him. And yesterday night, their presidency, not presidential, what you have is presidency. Very soon you will have vice presidency. It is a joke. An absolute and complete joke. Now I want you to understand this. Presidency is now telling people to ignore what Nnamdi Kanu is saying. Ignore everybody asking after a fellow human being. We are asking out of concern. We care. I've told you before that Osibajo is a gentleman, and I like him. I've said it. I have not hidden my admiration for Yemi Osibajo. I have not hidden it. He's a gentleman. I've said it many times. I am within my right. It's just like filing a habeas corpus in a court to ask to compel the authorities or whoever to produce the body of somebody that they are holding. That's what we are doing. Asking you to produce Osibajo. They have now looked at a whole government of the most populous country in the world. The government of over 200 million people, so they claim. I want to read out their response to a legitimate question, concern, and search for their own vice president. He is not the Biafran vice president. He is the Nigerian vice. We are asking them. We are helping them to find their own. Isn't it very ironic? Biafrans pulling Nigerians to help find their own vice president. Isn't it very ironic? Presidency responded, ignore the claims of those. What claim are we making? We said bring out the man. You're saying we're not making any claims. Bring him out. They can't bring him. Instead they said forget it. A whole vice president in the middle of a pandemic. All they can say is ignore those asking after a vice. Unbelievable. Let me read it for you. The presidency, mind you, not the president, not the presidency. This is the first time in my life I am hearing about presidency running a country. In all my life, I know that you are either a president or a prime minister, a premier, a vice chancellor, a chancellor running a country. I have never heard of the chancellery, because where you have a chancellor as head of state, the next thing that the sub-departments under is called the chancery. I have never heard of the chancery of Germany, or the premier, the prime minister's office in London, or the presidency of Donald Trump. All I hear is President Trump. Hey, all I hear is the president of the, or